Alright, listen up everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful, so let's figure out how to mitigate this. Drivers, take a look at the developments we have and let us know what you want to invest in protecting. Alright everyone, let's get on top of this.
Right guys, so welcome back to a brand new episode of My F1 2019 Career Mode, and today we have a big one. A regulation change has been confirmed for next season, and we do have to update / protect the durability and the chassis side of things. Now if you guys missed the last episode guys for the Italian Grand Prix, Ferrari's home race, the pressure is on, then go watch the video guys by clicking on the card in the top right hand corner of your screen before we jump into this race at Singapore. Now as you saw, just like I mentioned before, we've got regulation change, so now it's going to kind of change the way we do our business for the remaining part of the season now in terms of improving the car, because we've got one eye on next season now, trying to protect the upgrades that we've already done. Now, in terms of this race at Singapore, we've got no rain expected, and it's a good, nice, dry weekend, which is great news for us. And to be fair, we've actually got some upgrades of our own for this weekend at this circuit, and we've brought ourselves a drag reduction upgrade for the barge boards, and also a durability upgrade for the MGUH. So two upgrades in the car. One of them is performance related, and hopefully that will help out the overall performance of the car around the street circuit, where obviously aerodynamics is going to be so important. In terms of R&D though, Red Bull, keep an eye on them. They're really pushing on here, and a big upgrade package for them this weekend as they close the gap to both ourselves and Mercedes, and they're no longer kind of a step behind. They're pretty much on par with us now. There's good parity there, and we're pretty damn close. Now in terms of this weekend, we jump into practice, and we went to FP1 and done a couple of practice programs. We actually had a pretty okay weekend. I did realise, and I kind of could notice that the 108AR was a little bit harder around here, and I was debating whether to go 106, 107, because 108 seemed a bit tricky, both for practice programs and also for AI pace. We was up against it a little bit, and in the end, I stuck with 108. I didn't change, which is good, so we'll see how that gets on. But you can see there in practice, overall, we did track acclimatization, race strategy, and qualifying performance test, and we got a decent amount of points to put away, and overall, a successful session. We now move into qualifying on Saturday, which, by the way, guys, these new visuals this year with the TV cameras looks absolutely fantastic around the circuit. Singapore at night looks absolutely unreal, and really good visual upgrade. But with that being said, we're now going to move into the kind of business end of the weekend here at qualifying and try and turn things up a level and see if we can try and pick up the pace a little bit and see if we can try and have a good session here this weekend and try and improve on what we did at Monza. At Monza was a pretty okay weekend. We got second place. We did lose points to Hamilton, but we did gain some points back on Sebastian Vettel. But ultimately, we want to be getting those points on Lewis in the championship. So hopefully this weekend we can have a good weekend, and we're going to see how it pans out. I think both Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull are going to be very close. I think overall, I think the pace is very close. So we're going to see what happens. First of all, though, Q1. We're going to go out on the soft compound tyres, and we're going to go for one run in this session just to make sure we comfortably get through into Q2. And the lap in itself was okay. It was a pretty decent banker. Not showing my cards just yet and not pushing 100%, but still making sure that we did a lap good enough for Q2. And you can see here, just going over the curbs and making sure we end the lap quite nicely. To be fair, I wasn't enjoying this. The Singapore feels weird this year, and also with my new wheel, I haven't got much feel, and it feels quite foreign. And this is a circuit where you really need that kind of confidence to throw the car in, and I didn't really have that, so I was a little bit concerned in qualifying. You can see they're currently P9 as the session came to an end, and Sebastian Vettel was quicker than me, 3 tenths quicker on the slower medium tyres, and the Red Bulls 1 and 2 by over a second. They dominated Q1, and that kind of was a warning shot of like, okay, I see you, Red Bull, the upgrades are really paying off and they could be a threat. And in Q2 I tried my luck on the mediums, and it wasn't great. You can see they're very scruffy left and right there at 5 and 6. Overall, not the best start to the lap, and that's where I lost most of my time. To be fair, I lost a hell of a lot of time there, and that kind of carried through over the rest of the lap. A couple of lockups here and there, and overall just a bit of a scruffy lap, to be fair, even though in areas it was in parts it was a really good lap, in others it was really poor, and overall the lap isn't going to be good enough on these mediums at least, and you're going to see we go P13 there, 2.2 off the pace, quite a way off. So I decided to pit in, and we're going to strap on a set of fresh soft compound tyres, and we're going to go for one last banzai attempt here, and we're going to stay on board for this entire lap here in Singapore and see how it goes. Straight away, turns 1, 2 and 3 hit you all at once, and it's all about momentum here, and let the car ride the curbs and don't overdo it on traction. So far, so good as we now go towards turn number 4, and really when you want to attack that inside curb, take a big chunk out of that, let the car run wide, open up DRS onto the back straight, and overall a pretty good first sector, and we're actually about nearly 2/3 up so far, and just a fraction down on Sebastian here through sector 1. Now through the next left-hander at 6, nice and tidy through there, this time no mistakes, and then the right-hander as well, keeping it nice and tidy, and we just clipped the wall there, which was annoying because
be careful with the front wing, you've taken some minor damage.
it was a very silly mistake, and I just opened up the steering wheel too early, and I got end plate damage. I was hoping on the yellow end plate damage though I could carry it through, and I need to find about 0.3 of a second to go through to Q3. So at the minute, if we just keep on holding that advantage, I think we'll be okay. At the moment, the car feels manageable on yellow front wing damage. I think I can hold on to it, and we've still got a 4.5 advantage here with 1 sector to go.
Okay, take it easy on the car. We can't sustain this level of damage.
But then, as you can see now, towards the end of sector 2 here, so far we're still holding on, half second up still, keeping that advantage, but then I clipped the wall again, a really silly mistake, and the end plate damage turns from yellow into orange, and it gets worse, which was really annoying. So a very silly mistake there. Now we're starting to lock up, and now you can see the delta, we're starting to really lose time here towards the end of the lap, especially in sector 3, where all the tight, slow speed corner time. Then we get a terrible run, a terrible line through that left-hander there, and eventually we actually lost our entire delta through the final corner. No grip, no front end, and eventually we would not improve. So unfortunately for us, it's going to be a rare Q2 elimination in qualifying, and yeah, it just didn't pay off. It was a scruffy session. Like I said, you need to have the right feeling in the wheel, and you need to feel confident around Singapore and the setup as well, and it wasn't going my way. Also, the AI are a bit quick around here. Like, probably in hindsight, I'd like to have maybe gone down to 107 for this track, but yeah, overall it was a tough session, a scruffy one from us, and no excuses on my end. I just didn't have the pace, and we're going to see if we can try and turn it around on Sunday. But I was thinking to myself, you know what, we're P14, we don't really have the pace, so I'm going to take an engine penalty here and take a fresh power unit and take the pain. Even though you can't really overtake at this circuit, we're starting P14 anyway, so we're starting really far back. So I think for the sake of 6 positions, we might as well just take an engine and try and go on a different strategy in the race. Maybe start the race in the hards and try and go long. So we're going to strap on a brand new power unit. Also, not just that, of course, new gearboxes both for practice and also for the event. So yeah, we're going to have pretty much brand new components for the rest of the weekend and going forward. Hopefully this will be good enough to avoid any penalties later on in the season. So yeah, without further ado, overall a fresh power unit, a poor qualifying, but now hopefully we can try and turn it around in the race for round number 15 for the Singapore Grand Prix. Let's jump into the night race.
As the sun sets over the South China Sea, the sport that never sleeps is alert and raring to go. Welcome, under the bright lights of the Marina Bay circuit, to another Singapore Grand Prix. It's a very long, very physical lap, this one, and really there's not much in the way of margin for error. So we have a bit of an endurance race for you tonight. The Marina Bay street circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson is alongside me in the commentary box this evening, and big race this one, a real test of endurance. Sounds right up your alley. Wouldn't you just love to be down there on the grid right now?
You know what, Crofty? I'm pretty happy to be up here in my air conditioning, thank you, right now. I can't stress just how difficult these conditions can be, especially when you consider it's the longest race on the calendar in terms of time. It's also one of those races where you have to remember to keep drinking, or there's a real risk of dehydration. Just like we saw with young Kevin Magnussen a couple of years ago, don't forget. We mentioned the bumps as well. Take a look at the onboards if you get a chance during this race. The movement in the suspension and the chassis is just incredible, and it's lots of hard work to wrestle the car around the lap here.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Butler, Hamilton, Lucas Faber and Hülkenberg, Perez, Norris, Grosjean and Carlos Sainz. Magnussen, Martinez, they've taken a grid penalty. Daniel Ricciardo and Kvyat, Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Robert Kubica and George George Russell, Stroll and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, so it's race time here for the Singapore Grand Prix, and we start from P12 on the grid. I'm not sure why. I think the game's glitched. I think that's something hopefully that will get fixed with a patch, which has just been confirmed to be coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, pretty much we've taken an engine penalty, and we're still starting P12, which is really weird. We're actually gained positions, so not too sure what's happening there. So I kind of apologise, I kind of don't. I didn't really know this was a thing. I knew the gearbox was a problem, but I didn't know the engine was also glitched as well. So yeah, we're going to start from P12 with a fresh engine and change of strategy. So we are going to start the race on the hard tyres and go very long on the first stint. Try and go as long as we can and then put the mediums on at the end and try and be a bit more aggressive with that strategy. Fuel-wise, we're running one extra lap of fuel because it's a fresh engine, so I'm going to use a little bit more rich mix and use a bit more performance out of the engine, and we're going to see how it goes. With that being said, though, let's just jump into it. Let's see if we can try and switch on these hard tyres and see if we have any decent pace. With that being said, let's jump into it. It's time for round 15 for the Singapore Grand Prix. Right, here we go. The 5 red lights. Come on here at Marina Bay. Lights out and away we go. Not the best start. Struggling to get the traction down on the hard tyres. Down the inside of turn 1 though. Late on the brakes. Lock up on the front left. Ricardo looking for a move here. Around the outside, I'm going to try and show him the long way round. Give him a little bit of a squeeze there, but Ricardo's holding on. He's not letting me go. We're going to be on the outside line here for this very awkward turn 4. On the power, Ricardo does get by for now. We're going to try and use our Ferrari power to try and get back past the Renault though. So far though, not much straight on speed to show. Down the inside though, late one on the brakes on the Honey Badger. And we're just about going to get back past it. A little bit of oversteer moment there on the exit, but overall a good move back in front. We've got K-Mag here in front of us, also on hard tyres like I mentioned, so it's important for our race strategy to get past him if possible and keep Ricardo behind. But so far so good. It's all about trying to adapt to these harder tyres now, see if we have any race pace, because I think the AI are pretty quick, but in race trim they always tend to slow down a little bit slow compared to qualifying, so they're a little bit more raceable. Into the hairpin, a little bit hot there on my end. I'm just trying to have a little look, see if I can go on the outside, but no way through just yet. So far so good though, lap 1, no complaints. Let's get head down now though, and it's a long race, the longest one on the calendar in terms of overall race time, so let's just get settled in, let's buckle up and let's see how the race goes. Okay, then we're all over the back of Magnussen here already, trying to look for that move. Hopefully we'll get him on the back straight. There's no DRS, but we should have enough straight line speed, I'd like to think, even with this high aero to get past the Haas. Pretty average exit there, but Kevin doesn't have much of a toe. Rich mix and overtake mode engaged. We're a little bit far back here to be fair. It's going to have to be a very brave move here. Very long on the brakes, but Magnussen just pushes us off. Fair play. Classic Magnussen move there as we just brushed the wall there. Almost lose front wing. Flashbacks to Q2 from qualifying. But Magnussen there very hard but fair defending there. Just pushing us off the racetrack. I tried to go audacious around the outside. It didn't quite work out for us, so we'll have to try again.
Race officials have enabled DRS. DRS is now available.
Yep, and that's going to be the X factor now. DRS available. We should be able to get this pass done on the back straight this time. We're close once again here. Let's get positioned, get within range. Try and take a bit more of an earlier apex that time. Doesn't quite work out. We have a bit of poor traction there. But this time we have the DRS advantage, and this time we're going to get a much bigger run on K-Mag here. We're going to go down the inside. K-Mag giving me the squeeze. Again, not leaving me much room, but we're going to make sure he does not hang around the outside. And there we go. We're now up to P11. Finally get past him. And we're the highest placed hard tyre runner here, so that's good news. Let's chase after the pack in front. There's a bit of a train you can see there forming. So let's try and get involved and get stuck in.
Battery charge is high. Let's increase ERS deployment to up the pace.
But no rush. We'll hold on to that because we've struggled in the last few races to keep our battery charged up. We'll use that. Magnussen stay within range.
Second the lap on the car behind.
Yeah, put out a second gap, but you know he's within range of DRS, so we need to just make sure we stay in front here on this back straight, and then we'll be okay. At the minute, the hards feel okay, not as bad as I thought, and we've got pretty okay pace. Much better lap there, 42.8. Pretty much found 8/10 on that lap, or 3/4 of a second. Through sector 2 mainly. I'm just starting to understand again how the car works around here. It always helps when in the race when you've got more laps to really understand the car. Also understand my new wheel once again around a different circuit, completely different circuit to Spa and Monza. So yeah, we're finding lap time here, but slowly but surely we're pulling away from the cars behind and gaining on the ones in front. Okay, so we've got the first of the pit lane boys. Mercedes, Red Bull and a Renault in there, so we're now up to P8. I was going to say, looking at the mini-map, the Mercedes seem to not have good pace around here and seem to struggle. They're definitely the worst out of the top 3 teams. So that's good news for us. It means, you know, if this strategy pays off, we should be in front of them and we'll have a good chance. So that's good news. At the minute we're getting stuck in here. We've got quite a big run on Lando here. Unfortunately he doesn't have DRS in the current front, so it's going to be quite tricky to gain on him. So it might not happen right now, but we're starting to put the pressure on. Getting very close to Lando here. He's struggling on those soft tyres quite logically and quite visibly. Can we try and make a move here? We're gaining on him. Down the inside, it's a tight one. Lando with a squeeze. Side by side with the McLaren. Got to give Lando the room. On the inside here, we're going to pick up a warning there for cutting the corner. And Lando just stays in front, so good defensive driving there from him. Let's see if he pits in though and releases me, although to be fair, Sainz is just up the road, which is a little bit annoying. But we're losing time here, so I need to get past if I can. Seb pits in the other Ferrari.
Sebastian is in the pits.
And there we go, Lando pits in, so Sainz stays out, which is good. That's going to release me now with some DRS. We've got the other Red Bull, the other Mercedes in as well.
In front is 2.8 seconds.
So we're now up to P2. We'll lock up there a little bit deep into turn 1. But we're now P2. Going long in this race on this tyre. Now is the time where we need to try and set some decent lap times, some consistent lap times on this hard tyre and really make it work. The problem with the 2-stop is, like Vettel, Butler, Hamilton, Verstappen and Weber, they're all going to come out in traffic and they need to make some overtakes. So this is our chance to really pull away here and make some good lap times. And now Sainz should pit in. There we go, that's going to release me once again. And I'll pick up DRS once again on the pit straight. Good lap from us as well.
Great pass.
Personal best 42.7, and we're now into the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix, so at least we're going to get to lead a couple of laps. Ricardo P2 also going long on that tyre, as is K-Mag in P3 are also on the hard. So at the minute we're looking good. You can see that train of cars to turn 1 and all those overtakes that the other big boys are going to have to make, so this suits us. Let's try and do our thing, not look at the new map too much and focus on ourselves. Lewis and Devon Butler, they're setting the pace, 40.8s from the Mercedes. Pretty much 2 seconds a lap quicker than me, but like I said, they're stuck in traffic. We're on a different strategy here, so let's not worry about that too much. Tyres are starting to feel a little bit not so good now in many ways. My lap time is dropping off a little bit, but we're still P1 and all that traffic is still behind us, so that's good news. And you can see there the position's changing as Ricardo pits in, but still all the AI, the top teams and the top drivers have to get past the midfield traffic, and that's good news for us as we keep on sticking to our strategy and we're slowly but surely approaching halfway distance. Okay, there we go.
Teammate by 14.9 seconds.
There we go, the midfield teams have pit in and now the big boys are back into the usual positions. Lucas Weber P2, Sebastian Vettel P3. We've got about 14 seconds on those guys, so we're going to see how that gap progresses. We're scheduled to pit in lap 17 for the medium, so let's see how the gap holds on for the next 3.5 laps or so.
At the moment, the car behind us is lapping faster than us by around 1 second per lap.
Yep, that's more or less what I expected and what I could see. So we're going to feed that into some traffic here. I'm just hoping we're within the top 10. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, Weber's pit in. So they're doing their second stop. So they're going to go back into traffic. Does that mean Seb's going to pit in this lap? I mean, even if he does, I think we shouldn't stack up. We've got enough of a gap there, 11.7 to stay in front, I think. This could get interesting. But we're scheduled to pit in this lap. Right, then here we go. I've had to concentrate so much this stint, but we've done a good job. All the big boys are going to have to go for a 2-stopper, so we've got a nice 10-second gap to manage. And here we go then, into the pit lane. Get it all slowed down, make sure we don't speed. Nice and easy. Let's not overdo it, and there we go. Probably went a little bit too early on the brakes there. I saw the 60 ball and it kind of spooked me out, but still, into the pit lane. Nice quick stop, come on boys. There we go.
Complete, go now.
Good stop, 2.1. Pull the paddle away at the perfect time. Verstappen's in the pit lane. Lewis and Seb stay out. And now we're going to the end of these tyres. Let's see where we rejoin. It's going to be in the thick of the midfield, I think. In the thick of the one-stoppers. Here comes Hulkenberg. And there is Grosjean.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
Let's try and rejoin in front of Norris if we can here. There we go, P5 on fresh mediums. That's what I'm talking about, just in front of Lando Norris. Let's have a good right-hander here and have a good exit if we can. Powered down nice and early. There we go, nice and easy. No need to turn up the engine, we should be comfortably in front. But P5, fresh mediums, we've done our pit stop. I tell you what, could we win this race? Is it on the cards? It could be. I tell you what, it really could be, and that'd be a fantastic turnaround from a terrible weekend so far. Right then, we're all over the back of Grosjean and Hulkenberg here, and they both pit in, so there we go. I thought they might be going to the end, but maybe not. So we're up to P3, Lewis is in the pit lane as well. So we're P2, purple final sector. Seb has to pit, so right now, we are the net race leader.
The car behind is 3.7 seconds.
We are the net race leader of the Singapore Grand Prix. I can't believe that's happened. The strategies actually worked out beautifully. Okay, without even pushing, we're 1.1 up on the personal best. I'm saving fuel in ERS here because I want to have one stab at the purple lap. Reason being is because even though I don't have pace, the AI are stuck in traffic, which is good. So
Sebastian's in for his stop.
I reckon we could have a look at this and give it a chance. So we're going to go for one flyer here as Seb pits in and we take first place. Let's try and get this extra point and see what happens.
We pretty much burned off our excess fuel. We'll be back on target soon. Don't wait too long to turn the engine down. Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes.
Okay, fair enough. Bit of a wild card into the equation. At the minute, I'm mid-hot lap here, so let's see how this goes. First sector was okay. I'm a little bit low on ERS, so I've got to keep an eye on that. But let's see what we're like here. Purple middle sector, there we go. That's more like it. A bit wide there, but let's keep pushing. It's been a scruffy lap, in fairness. Right then, let's see if this lap was enough. Through the final corner. 39.3, there we go.
Great work. That's a new fastest lap for the race.
Not an incredible lap by any means, but into the 139s. And currently we have 26 points to our name as it stands. So for the championship, this is going to be a big race for us. Let's see if we keep that extra point. Okay, so it looks like the Red Bulls have made their move. They're now 2 and 3. I think Seb's not too far behind. He's making a move from Ricciardo right now for P4, and then you've got the two Mercedes right behind them. So overall it's looking pretty good. Also, it seems like they were on the hard tyre, so with that in mind, it looks like my lap might not get beaten, which means I probably will bring home the extra point, which is great news. So at this point, I'm just hoping everything holds up, no mistakes happen, and no safety cars come out, and we can try and win this race. Oh, Sebastian Vettel's out.
Sebastian's got a problem. He's out of the race.
Wow, my teammate's out of the race. That's a big one for the championship. Absolutely massive. Seb's second retirement of the season here. And that's why I took the new engine, because the engine's not going to make it to the end of the season. So I'd rather take a penalty than break down. But Sebastian is out of the Singapore Grand Prix. That is a big one for the championship. 2 to go, just cruising at the minute. Not been the most active stint. I've not been talking too much. I've just been concentrating a lot because I'm trying to keep a high pace. But overall, it's been a good stint, and we're looking pretty good here. Oh, look at that. It's just started to rain. A couple of raindrops. They did say rain towards the end of the Grand Prix, so it has just arrived for the last lap. So luckily enough for us, it's not going to affect us too badly. We are going to have a couple more screen freezes than usual because when it starts to rain, my PC can't keep up. But either way, it shouldn't affect us here, as we're pretty much cruising to the finish at this point. Let's make sure we make no mistakes and bring it home here. And we're going to turn on the engine as well. Overall though, great race, great strategy, and we've recovered from a very, very miserable weekend up until this point. Taking an engine penalty, even though we didn't actually serve the penalty. That's not my fault, that's the game's fault, but we'll take it. Here we go then, through the final few corners, and a very long race comes to an end, but we're going to come through with the fireworks to win in Singapore. Get in there, vai, forza Ferrari. Grazie ragazzi. Incredibile giornata, grazie.
Nice work, that's P1. Race win. Well done.
Grazie, la strategia meravigliosa, incredibile.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Some excellent overtaking moves from your former teammate today. Did he learn some of them from you? You and Lucas weren't far apart by the finish. Do you enjoy racing against him? How does it feel sharing a Formula One podium with your old F2 teammate? How are you feeling after that win? Appreciate your time.
Right, so looking at the final race results here today for the Singapore Grand Prix. We win the race, and not just that, we pick up the extra point for the fastest lap. A very good weekend for us, and a good turnaround from a terrible practice and terrible qualifying session, and overall a really good result. And to be fair, I think I could have got a very similar result even if I started from the actual back of the grid, because my pace was actually okay in the race, and the strategy was just so strong, I think we could have made it work. But either way, P1 for us, Lucas Weber P2, and Lewis Hamilton P3 running off the podium, Max Verstappen P4, and then Devon Butler P5, and then we've got Ricciardo, Kvyat, Russell P8, fantastic result from him, and then Perez and Magnussen running out the top 10, and right towards the very bottom, Sebastian Vettel with his second retirement of the season. And what is it going to mean for the championship? Let's find out. So after that race, 26 points for us, none for Vettel, and 15 for Lewis Hamilton. The constructors could be under threat as well. Mercedes got a decent points haul, but overall we actually jumped Sebastian there for P2, and overall a very good race for us. We jump into second place and get ourselves right back into contention for the Drivers' Championship, and 1 point splits myself and Sebastian, with Devon Butler P4 and Lewis still leading the way. In terms of the Constructors' Championship though, we lead by 13 points over Mercedes and are just shy of the 500 point mark, so very close. Hopefully we can break that in the next few races. But yeah, overall guys, that is going to be it for Singapore and this episode of Career Mode. We did the upgrades in the last episode, so we've got no points to really spend at the moment, so we're just going to try and save some points and invest those later on in the season. But if you guys did enjoy the video, drop a like and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 content. And I've lost my voice because I'm still not feeling 100%, so if you guys would leave a like, I'd appreciate it. Subscribe if you are new, check out these two videos on your screen, and I'll see you in my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.